Annapolis Mall. This reminds me of...
We have Landmark.
Yeah, Landmark with a hint of Loudon,
Dulles Town Center.
yeah, Dulles Town Center.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what I can see. Now, in case anybody's wondering, of course, I'm Gammy. This is Esther. And
Hi.
Welcome to probably the most craziest transit journeys that I probably yet, because I got a bunch of other crazy stuff that I gotta do. So I gotta say this, the transit center, and I don't want to show all of it, but very basic, not flashy like the Lake Forest one.
The Lake Forest one actually gets like good buses that serve it.
Yeah, it does. Right there is Annapolis Transit, Green Line, El Dorado bus. And then this is a red bus, the Red Line bus. What model is this?
Ford E450 Cutaway.
Cool. We'll do research and then think that should be a cutaway. High floor.
I mean, it is nice. Definitely a cutaway.
You know, how would you compare this to Richmond Transit in terms of capital transit? Or state capital transit?
Good question.
Because one you have to pay, but there's only like...
I mean, Annapolis is a much smaller city than Richmond.
It's a much smaller city.
I would argue that Annapolis Transit serves Annapolis better than GRGC serves Richmond. Like, GRGC is a bigger agency and, you know, with like real buses and things that aren't Eldorados or minibuses. But like, for the amount of service that Richmond deserves,
And just like, I believe, actually last month they cut off service for a couple more routes. Now, one thing I don't get is that one of the bus shelters looks like this, which is probably like a 2010s type of design. Meanwhile, you got the rest of the bus shelters, which is 90s basically. Oh look, we got another minibus.
I don't know why they put the lightning bolts on, because none of their buses are electric.
I mean, it's just to make them look like, I don't know.
Speed.
Yeah, speedy, you know, Lightning McQueen type of stuff.
Hell.
Alrighty, so now we're gonna get on this bus. So this is the 502 Anne Arundel Express, free service. I gotta say, compared to the Fred seats, these are more comfortable. Have you been on Fred?
So,
Have you been on Fred?
no.
No? Oh. Well, you get the good Fred experience one day.
Eventually.
So let's go ahead and break down the 505 to the best of our abilities. This route connects from the Annapolis Mall to Odenton. There are very limited stops in this route, obviously because of the fact that we are running through very twisty and windy country roads and very sparse single family homes as well. So it's definitely best to check up on Google Maps and the transit app. Do not bother using Apple because I cannot find the route. For some reason they do not have the GTFS connected to that. They run this route 12 times a day. However, they are split into 6 each. One for the eastbound Odenton platform and then one for the westbound Odenton platform. And this trip does take between like an hour to an hour and 20 minutes. Now the entire fleet is microbuses with jiggly lifts, and thankfully, unlike FX Bigo ! At least we're getting Amfleet Junior seats, instead of very plastic hardcover seats. Also, as you can see, there is no dotted branding. Literally, it's a giant sticker that's blocking the whole view. And also, what you may have noticed is that there is no pull cords. You do have to let the operator know what stop you will be dropping off at. That is a fairly common thing with agencies that use microbuses. I've only seen FXB Go have pull cords. And speaking of them, yes, FM radio stations are played on the buses, which adds a lot to the vibes. So if you're able to find a good seat, you do get a good view of the scenery, which is why I'm playing this Donkey Kong Country 3 music. And I haven't played that game in quite a while. Let's see how much it is if I were to buy a physical copy. Alright, that's not bad. Why is the Game Boy that expensive? Well, I guess in this late stage capitalistic world that we live in, it's all about supply and demand, I guess. And it's the same supply and demand that we're testing ourselves on this beautiful April 6th of 2026. Yes, that is correct. The same day that the Artemis 2 has made its orbit around the moon, the two of us, Esther and I, are testing the transit of Anne Arundel County. Because once we get off the 205 at Odenton, we will make the switch to the 202. And from what I can look at the map, the 202 is a fairly decent route. It does take you to important places like the Arundel Mills Mall, but the schedule is one where you have to double, triple, quadruple check to make sure that you are not standing in the middle of nowhere because the service is not running at that time. But it seems that we should be making a 2-hour 10:30 departure of the 202 at the Odenton Mark Station. Right? Well, unfortunately for what we have gathered, there seems to be a very big possibility that the bus may not show up. While it is on Transit app, these buses do not have a tracker, unless you want to look at Passio Go. And yes, like many, I am certainly not a fan of Passio Go, and there are many flaws. But at least we don't have to use token transit on this agency. Thankfully, the entire agency is free. Now, there has been a lot of debate as to how certain qualities of transit can improve, or for the most part, not improve when it comes to free fares. Unfortunately, the worst example that I can think of is Richmond's GRTC, where a good majority of service cuts off at 11. You have no other choice but to walk on Broad Street and run through a highway interchange. Since then, there has been more service cuts and an operator shortage. GRTC is definitely struggling here. And to me, it feels like this is an issue with local government. And in this case, it's the local government of Richmond and Henrico County. Hopefully, they can actually do something in like fitting in the bill, maybe increasing wages. GRTC as a system is fairly good, but it really needs a lot of help from the city of Richmond, Henrico County, and even the Commonwealth of Virginia. Because we have free fares in Alexandria, Virginia with Dash, and our local government is very passionate in having that form of equity for everybody. So we have that frequency is freedom consistency, so we have that freedom of movement. And that's where it all stems, and this is where I come back to Anne Arundel County. So far, everything is good on this ride. However, there still remains an unknown on whether or not we get the 202. And let's go ahead and talk about it, because you can definitely have a transit agency with very passionate people wanting to make a difference. However, you see local government not wanting to do that, not wanting to maintain that, not wanting to expand upon it and making it better for everybody, especially in the current climate that we are in. We are very much car dependent, but we are in the middle of a crisis where oil prices have increased, and at the gas pump, we're now back to Great Recession levels. And if it worsens, boy, we can get back into the 70s levels of craziness. Transit can definitely be an equal alternative to driving to work, the doctors, for errands, and then even for leisure as well. This route can take you close enough to a drag strip and a go-kart track, and it reminded me of how easy it was to take transit to a Richmond Raceway or an Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And the beauty of it is that there was no need to take a car. And this shopping complex is very large, similar to that of Hybla Valley. And in Hybla Valley, there are multiple Fairfax Connector buses that run through it. And let's not forget about Metro Bus's F1X, formerly known as the REC, the soon-to-be predecessor to an upcoming BRT project that will definitely help people without a car connect to the Route 1 corridor without getting into that infamous gridlock that it is infamous for. And look, I'm not asking for articulated buses coming down through winding country roads. But what I definitely am hoping to see is that with funding and with some really good, strong county support and even state support, that there can be much more frequent buses, bus stop signs, and bus stop shelters, because I have not seen one post departure of the Annapolis Mall. Also, better wages for the staff, especially to have more operators so there wouldn't be any more ghost buses or drop buses because of operator availability. And that's just the major issues. Obviously, there are others that eventually will have to be taken care of, such as a better bus route redesign, a different style of branding, because some of these buses, like this one, has no branding on it, or it has that green Flicks McQueen type of bus livery. But that's something that can definitely be looked for in the future. There is, of course, at least a concept of the plan called Move Anne Arundel, which started in 2019, and a final draft was released in 2024. However, I haven't heard much about it from the time they released the final draft plan to now. So fingers crossed that hopefully things will start to improve. And now that we're almost close to Odenton, I'm just realizing that I haven't really done much of a event with other forms of transit. So do let me know what you think down below. Again, I am not a transit expert, nor do I have any degrees to prove such a thing. I'm just a regular person with a regular 9-to-5 job who just happens to like transit a little more than the next person. And also, if you haven't, I have spent quite a good amount of time looking up my friend Shortline 819's State Bureau Area Transit video. You'll definitely get a good kick out of that. And here we go. This is the main road that goes straight to the Odenton East platform. And we're definitely making it pretty early. Just enough time to make it to the 202. But will the 202 be there? Or will our hopes and dreams and expectations be shattered? Vote now on your phones. So we're at Odenton, and we wanted to try to get another bus, the 202, I believe, right?
Yeah. I'm not convinced it exists. It's not tracking. It's supposed to be here now, and yet it very much is not.
You called them, and
I called them, and they gave me a completely wrong time that is nowhere on the schedule. It has nothing to do with reality. And now we might have a train that's stuck at BWI or something, so who knows what's happening anymore.
See, isn't that like the beauty of transit? Alright then, so Anne Arundel Transit. At least one bus works. The other one, yeah, doesn't exist. So with that being said, I'm gonna rank this extremely low. Lower than FXB Go exclamation mark. So congrats to you, I guess. Till we meet again, thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Let me just repeat that again. So this right here does not exist, as he told me.
Yeah, that hasn't existed in like 3 years. Because they chopped off this part and turned it into the 209. And then that bit got is just the 202 now, and then all of this and all of this became the 205, and then they used to have another separate route from Crofton to Annapolis that they combined into it to become the 205. Then this schedule... this schedule is completely wrong also. Yeah, people really don't care about Anne County Transit.
I mean, look at it. Like, the tape is just, like, falling off the hinges.
Yeah.
It's been, like, there for maybe, like, a good few years.